Claremont 3D Design, HSE Compliance. This presentation gives examples of projects worked on which were required as part of health, safety and environmental issues. Chemical pits and drainage systems. Rainwater, sewage and chemical drainage containment systems all had issues and required full survey to diagnose scope of works required. A specialist drainage CCTV company was contracted to carry out surveys, locate problem areas and advise on repairs. This data was used to update the client's GAs and document repairs required, with time and cost schedules to coordinate workarounds during repairs and permitting. Preliminary project schedule and budgets were proposed. Once approved, these were reported on monthly. Survey phase. The existing GA was given to the contractor to assist surveys. There was a setback as a number of manways were sealed shut, requiring breakout and replacement. Once manways were replaced, surveys were completed and numerous issues were identified, including GA errors, holes to ground, man-made and natural penetrations, joint misalignment and cracks. The sewage system was outdated, pitch fibre pipe found to be blistered and crushed, and surface water issues. There was not enough rainwater drains for the surface area. Analysis of redrawn systems via HAZOP showed that in some areas chemical separation was required to prevent incompatible materials mixing in the event of containment failure. Proposals for separation and rerouting of existing systems were presented and agreed upon in a series of meetings. Underground pits were badly corroded, and due to the difficult nature of maintaining these, each system was redesigned to isolate the pits and replace with local sumps and above-ground pumping with auto-start sensors and gas detection systems. Repairs to systems were examined in pre-works meetings. Examples show ransom surveys and repairs once these were agreed upon. Permits were issued, and once work was complete, reports were provided. While repairs were being carried out, design of improved systems were undertaken. This example shows the use of temporary pumping to IBC to maintain operations and keep the gully dry to enable works of extending the floor gully, and install of a sump for the long-term solution of pump and piping system with integrated vapour detection. Site works for these required permits before commissioning and handover of the installed system. During these works, it was noted that the existing brick gully was failing with many loose bricks, resulting in chemicals getting past this gully and damaging the floor. A general arrangement was created to the existing gully system for the client to obtain a quote for recommended future work of the replacement of bricks with chemical-resistant coated concrete. Failure of a steam system led to an investigation. Solutions and Implementation Action Plan was created, requiring a report by a scanning company, which was followed up by replacement thickness limits defined from ASME code, and the creation of a procedure for inspection of steam systems, along with pipe specs to prevent the use of threaded pipe on steam systems again. HSE compliance examples. LEV systems. A report from a specialist highlighted non-compliant LEVs and actions required due to poor design and damaged equipment. Site operatives were consulted, and these systems were drawn out to show proposals for demolition and construction based on usage requirements. This included nozzle design for fabrication on a bottling station. Then an installation contractor was brought on board to further refine these designs and carry out the install. These systems were commissioned by smoke tests. This process was repeated on all highlighted non-compliant systems. Water tank replacement project was carried out following an investigation. The existing system was sketched out and a logic diagram created. To carry out the demolition work, the existing system had to be isolated and bypassed. Once complete, the old tank was demolished to enable a new vessel to be constructed, including new pump system with recirculation. Sulfuric acid system work. During a site walkaround to identify the cause of an alarm sounding, a leak was noticed in the bund. By chance, around the same time, there were quality issues reported in the bottling of this chemical, the cause of which was unidentified. The system was surveyed, ISO layout drawn, and the underside of the header tank had a distinct dark patch, unlike the others. It was discovered that the piping was PVC-C with EPDM seals, which are incompatible with sulfuric acid, and the leak, quality issues and dark patch all had the same root cause, the seals being dissolved by the acid. A report was generated showing this was the issue, with immediate and longer-term actions to remedy the cause. During the survey, a number of other issues with the tanker offloading system were identified. The valve, storage bucket, hose and isolation were not to the required standard. These were addressed in a meeting with actions assigned. A quote was received for the replacement of the piping for the compatible spec. Funding request was raised and approved. Once the replacement was complete, the system was commissioned and pressure tested, then handed back to plant. It was also noticed that the bund size is very small for the size of vessels and is way under the 110% largest vessel required. A survey was carried out, and once modelled, the bund volume capacity was calculated at 5.6 cubic metres. Once this was established, the amount the vessel was permitted to hold was limited to 5 cubic metres in order to comply with regulations. Coma critical valves. The HSE issued an improvement notice to a client as there was no record and maintenance procedure of the coma critical valves, which act as final isolations on vessels containing hazardous materials. To comply with this notification, a series of meetings were held going through each P&ID, updating the logic diagrams to suit existing where required, and recording each critical valve to be maintained, along with maintenance procedures for system isolations to enable these tasks. Contact details.